What's going on again, friends? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are continuing to celebrate the spooky Halloween season all month long by now unboxing the NECA Ultimate Texas Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface figure. And this is commemorating in 1974, 2024, the 50th anniversary of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, the original film by Tobe Hooper. So this is one of two new Leatherface releases that we have gotten from NECA. This is the classic Leatherface that we all know how he appeared in the film with the classic tie, dress shirt, the classic mask, and the classic yellow apron. The other release, the other version that I will be taking a look at also here on the channel is the Ultimate Leatherface, the Pretty Woman edition. So we'll get into that in another video, guys, but we're not going to unbox this one. But this is two simultaneous 50th anniversary Leatherface releases by NECA. But today we are going to be just taking a look at that classic Leatherface. So guys, as always, my name is Matt and this is the Pop Complex. All right, friends, welcome back to the Pop Complex again, where we're going to be unboxing in celebration of the Halloween spooky season, the NECA Ultimate Chainsaw Massacre from 1974 Ultimate Leatherface. Now, again, this is a new updated version of the classic Leatherface. We had gotten one previously back a few years ago, but this one is way more detailed, way more movie accurate, and we're going to take a look at it today. So, on the cover of the box, we have the classic 1974 poster art for the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre directed by Tobe Hooper. The dirty, sweaty, gory, disgusting, gritty, make you want to take a shower after you watch it film. There's no other film that makes you feel quite like this one does. It's so gritty and it's so real, and it doesn't even feel like a movie. It actually feels like real footage from back in the 70s. That's what makes it so terrifying, is its realism. So we have that classic movie poster tagline on here: who will survive and what will be left of them? America's most bizarre and brutal crimes. What happened is true, now the motion picture that's just as real. Now, guys, we know now that the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre was not based on true events like the movie told us that it was at the very beginning. That was a stunt to scare the audience even more and make them think that this really happened like it happened. But now that we know more about the serial killer Ed Gein back in the 50s, and now that he has a Netflix show where a lot of those dramatized events in his life and some of his crimes are now dramatized and reenacted for us, Ed Gein is more in the public consciousness, the zeitgeist now more than ever. So now it seems to be most common knowledge that the crimes of Ed Gein directly inspired what we see in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and also it directly inspired the book Psycho in the late 50s. And just a few years after that, the legendary iconic filmmaker Alfred Hitchcock adapted that book into the iconic masterpiece film Psycho. But here we have Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and part of Ed Gein's crimes were that he did take the skin and body parts of his victims and graves that he robbed, and he would fashion them into wearable items such as gloves and masks and other things that I'm not going to get into. But that's what inspired the character of Leatherface. So let's take a closer look at the packaging. We've already looked at that classic 1974 poster art that this time is framed in a black aesthetic. The classic movie poster frame is white, and we got that on the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre NECA Leatherface figure that was made and issued a few years ago. So let's take a look at the rest of the box. On the top, we just have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre film logo. On the bottom of the box, as always, with the NECA Ultimate figures, we have the legal information, the barcode, and the creative team there. On this side, we have the alternate look of Leatherface in this figure. This more represents the cook, Leatherface the cook, with the kitchen apron and the, let's call it the housewife mask that he is wearing. On this side, we have that classic Leatherface with the yellow apron as he first and most iconically appears in the film. He has the chainsaw and his classic skin mask. Again, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and NECA logo. But on the back, we always have some nice, good photography of the figure out of the packaging. So again, we have the classic look of Leatherface with the yellow apron as he first appeared wearing the skin mask. We see this red background with the skulls and bones on it. And if we are fans of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, we're very familiar with that room and how the first appearance of Leatherface, which is reenacted right here where he is swinging the hammer, and we all know how that plays out in the film, but it's one of the most shocking, sudden, and disturbing scenes that I believe I've ever seen. Here we have another picture of the, let's call it again, the cook, the housewife mask there, and then we have Leatherface holding the meat hook there, and we all know what happens and what gets placed on the meat hook. So let's take a closer look here at the text. It says, includes interchangeable head and hands, 2 aprons, spoon, cleaver, meat hook, long hammer, short hammer, tongs, knife, and chainsaw. So this figure seems to come with quite a few accessories. Let's go ahead and flip open that signature NECA Ultimate front flap, and we always have an amazing photo of the figure out of the packaging on this inside flap, and that is such a great photo right there of Leatherface, and that's pretty much how I think I want to display mine whenever I get him out of the packaging. So flipping around here, taking a look at the figure itself, there we have the Leatherface. This time for this figure, we actually what looks like a hard plastic sculpted apron with the painted on blood stains. Now the last Leatherface, the classic Leatherface figure we got from NECA, had more of a vinyl raincoat type of material. I'll bring it in and show you guys at the end of this video to compare the two figures now. But here are the two alternate heads. We have the classic Leatherface with the skin mask. We have an alternate head here that has more of a crazy wide-eyed and more of a open mouth grinning look alternate. And then we have the housewife, the cook mask there, and the alternate apron must be back there where we can't see it, but you can see the accessories here. We have the classic chainsaw, we have the alternate hands, and they're a little hard to see. We have the meat hook there, the long hammer, and we have the short hammer, the cleaver, and the tongs and the pliers there that we can see. But we'll take a closer look at those accessories once we get this gruesome guy out of the packaging. So guys, let's not waste any more time. Let's get the classic 50th anniversary Texas Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface by NECA out of the package and take a closer look. Stay tuned. All right guys, and we're back here with the NECA 50th anniversary Ultimate Leatherface out of the package. And so taking him out, first of all, he is very impressive, very detailed, very film accurate, I have to say. The first thing that I noticed without even bringing the older Leatherface figure into play here and comparing already is that he seems to be more in scale with the actor, the legendary Gunnar Hansen, who played Leatherface in the original 74 film. He seems to be very much more in proportion, which taller and much more beefy, let's say. So this is great. The apron again is a soft, rubbery, but yet solid plastic. And we'll take a look at the other apron as well from the previous release. And that one was more of a soft vinyl, like soft goods apron. But we'll compare. So first of all, let's take a look at all of his accessories and everything that came with him. You can see he has open palmed hands by default in the package, but he only comes with these two alternate closed or semi-closed gripping hands. as we can see there, both left and right. That will be for holding anything that he comes with, including the hammer, the meat hook, cleaver, the chainsaw, anything. So the alternate heads, he does come with the, let me get a little bit more light on this. Here he does come with the alternate head, which you can see the eye is a lot better than you can in this one that's on him by default. And he seems to have his mouth open more. There's a patch there that's kind of missing from the chin. This is probably an alternate skin mask that was used at some point in the film, I would say, other than the classic one. It's been a few months since the last time I did watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, so off the top of my head, I don't really know the distinction between these two masks. But as you can see, the stitching there on the forehead and the hole there in the bottom of the chin, there's probably some distinction there as far as when this particular look of mask appeared in the film. Guys, let me know in the comments. All right, the other alternate head here is we have, as I've been calling it, the housewife head, the cook that goes along with the blue apron. You can see very detailed the eyes in there inside the mask. Very creepy, very lifelike, straight out of the film. But this is the old woman housewife wig and skin there. You can see the detail, the metallic bolts and stitching there where this mask is pieced together from that skin. Very gruesome. And so while we're on the subject of the cook, we do have the alternate apron here, and it has that diamond pattern, as you can see there, but it's just the dull blue. Now, one thing I noticed is that the subtle diamond pattern is not as prominent as it is pictured in the box art. So bringing the box art back into play here, as you can see, those little, well, they look more like circles here. You can't really see those very prominently. They don't stand out as a completely different color on this apron as much as in the box art. So that's kind of something that I noticed, but this is the alternate apron. As you can see, it's a soft, solid piece here, strap that would go around his waist and go over his head just like that if you decide to display him as the cook. But I'll flip him around and show you guys what the current apron looks like. Just the yellow tie there in the back, soft rubbery plastic tucked under the collar. But those are the two alternate heads. Let's take a look at some of these accessories now. So here are the tongs. They come with just a standard set of movie accurate tongs. Here's the spoon. It's a pretty basic wooden looking spoon. The knife there. Great detail on these accessories. We have the short hammer. The film accurate meat cleaver down to those ridges there in the contoured handle. Very light blood deco on this as well. We have the large hammer, or the long hammer. And we have the meat hook. Now, the previous Leatherface that we got from NECA came with a few accessories, including this meat hook as well, but that one was covered in blood. So you could use either or, however you like, if you already have that previous release. And here, it wouldn't be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre without the Texas Chainsaw. So here's the chainsaw, very good detail. This one is completely blood spattered. All over the teeth of the chain. and all over the front guard there as well. Now, a lot of people when this figure came out were saying, why is the chainsaw lime green? Why is it that pale chartreuse looking lime green? The previous figure that we got, and I'll show you guys here in a little bit when I do the comparison, had a yellow chainsaw. This is way more accurate because the chainsaw in all of the photos and actually in the film, it looks yellow in the film, but we do know that this is completely accurate because the actual chainsaw that was used in the film was this light green or lime green, chartreuse, whatever you want to call it. So we have a much more accurate chainsaw accessory here with this figure. I did want to point out there's that open doorway, the red room with all the skulls and bones and antlers on it that we see when Leatherface makes his first iconic appearance in the film. Now, this is not an actual still from the film, it looks like. I'm sure that it was very, very difficult to get an actual really good, high quality still frame of that. And I think when we see this room anyway, Leatherface is always standing in front of it. So this looks like an artist rendering, a recreation of what that would look like just for the sake of this box art. But I just wanted to point that out as well. That was the background insert that came with the figure. All right, so now let's take a closer look at the articulation of Leatherface himself. All right, and here we have a close-up look of the default mask that is on Leatherface. Again, very similar to the other mask that we had. Flipping around, you can see all of the great detail and wrinkling and crinkling in the shirt that just makes it look so realistic, sculpted into that plastic. We have the iconic tie here, the short, wide 60s looking tie with that lavender design going down the front. And this tie actually is pegged. So the knot here is pegged into his collar where it meets. Because it was tucked underneath the apron inside the box. But once I got him out of the package, I wanted to have that tie out over the apron as we see in the film. I was pulling it out and I thought I actually broke it, but fortunately it's just pegged because you can pose it like it's, you know, blowing back like in an action pose, like he is moving very rapidly and the tie is swinging. So it is pegged there, it's kind of loose. Here's the detail on the apron. So the apron, again, is that rubbery, harder plastic, unlike the vinyl soft goods that we previously got on the previous release, which is much better. The blood stains look a whole lot better than they did on, in my opinion. Now, they do have their merits on the previous release, but we'll do some comparison there on those here in just a second. The shirt is less pronounced than before. We don't see the deep pinstripes like we did in the previous release. The head is on a typical NECA ball joint, so you can get all kinds of great posing up and to the left and to the right and down in whatever angle that you choose. The arms are on that classic shoulder joint and socket, so they go around 360 degrees. We get a little bit more than 90 degrees here with the arm going out. And again, with a lot of these NECA figures, the sculpting of the shirt kind of restricts that. We have what looks like a single jointed elbow, classic wrist swivel, forward and back, and 360 degrees. I'm going to change out these hands, guys, so that I can pose him with the chainsaw here in just a moment. Now, this arm comes with the classic bracelet that Leatherface does wear in the film. Flipping around again to the back, let's take a look. We have a swivel there where the stomach is. Well, it's more like around the waist. So we have a waist swivel. I don't really think we have an ab crunch. Detail in the buttons there on the back of the pants. Again, the movement on the legs is going to be restricted by the sculpt of the upper pants there, but again, Leatherface doesn't do the splits in the film, so we're not going to really be worried about that. Kind of restricted with the apron on as well too. but we have that classic NECA single jointed, looks like, knee, and we get about 45 degrees with that as usual, which is perfectly fine, more than sufficient. And we have the classic ankle rocker as we've seen on other figures that wear pants like this. The pant cuffs go and rest over the bottom of the shoes, so it kind of restricts the forward and back motion again, but that's not going to be a problem. So that is all of the articulation on the new NECA Leatherface. So let's get him in place with the chainsaw, and then we'll take a closer look at the comparison of the original NECA Leatherface figure. All right, and now I have swapped out the hands and I've placed the iconic chainsaw in his hands, and this looks fantastic. Much better than the original Leatherface release from NECA, which I have here, and we're gonna do a quick comparison. I thought the original Leatherface was really awesome when I first got it, but that was all that we had, and now I'm probably going to take the original Leatherface down out of my collection now, because next to this guy, he doesn't really display all that well now anymore. You can tell the glaring differences, but here we are, and as Pixel Dan would say, it's comparison time. So let's bring in the original NECA Leatherface and do a side-by-side. So again, the first immediate difference is the scale. The scale and the sculpt overall is way better on the new one. Much taller, much bulkier, much beefier to represent Gunnar Hansen's build in the actual film. This one looks very toy-like. This one is very realistic, the new version. So taking a closer look at that sculpt on the mask, doesn't really look as great. I mean, it was good for what we had at the time. The tie kind of curls up a little bit, and it's more of a blue instead of that lavender that we see now on the new release. And another huge difference is, I mean, the blood spatters look really great on this, but this is like a vinyl soft goods, which in comparison to the soft, more rigid solid plastic, much better. Looks more realistic. You guys know, I've said this before, I'm not a fan of soft goods on action figures. It really kills the illusion of the realism. It instantly makes it look like a toy, and it instantly makes it look more like a doll, really, depending on what elements of the figure are cloth. Now, cloth capes are okay. That's kind of where I draw the line, and especially if they have a wire in them where they're really posable and sculptable to get more realism, that's fine. But this just does not look great anymore in comparison. Now the shirt is another difference. I'm talking about those pinstripes there. These are really deeply carved in, deeply sculpted ridges, pinstripes in the shirt. This is more of a subtle, smooth look, much better. There's that yellow chainsaw that we were talking about. Again, now we have it spattered in blood, and the chainsaw itself looks really good. It still stands up. I think NECA may actually have just used the same chainsaw and just repainted it. It looks virtually identical to me in scale as well. I think the size also is about the same, so that's fine. The original chainsaw looks really good. Flipping him around to the back, we can see again the soft goods on the vinyl apron. It's got these straps, it's just tied in the back. It really kills the illusion of the realism. It makes it instantly look like a toy with soft goods, but huge difference. And I think I'm going to be retiring the old original Leatherface, and I'm probably not going to be displaying him anymore because I have a much better Leatherface version now. And the last thing I wanted to point out, among his accessories, he did come with this alternate head, which is okay, but it is not really that great when you compare it to the cook, the housewife, new head sculpt, alternate head that we get with the new Leatherface. So guys, thanks for joining me today. This was a look at the new 50th anniversary NECA Ultimate Texas Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface figure It absolutely blows the old one out of the water, blows me away, and it's gonna look great in my collection. So guys, let me know what you think down below in the comments. Which one do you like better, and what are your preferences? Tell me what you think, guys. Don't forget to hit that like button and share this video out to all of your friends and fellow horror fans. And also, most importantly, it doesn't cost you anything. Hit that subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified so you don't miss any new updates on the Pop Complex. Remember guys, the Pop Complex is the place for toy collecting and retro pop culture. If you want to support the channel monetarily, you can head on over to Patreon by going to patreon.com/the Pop Complex. My merch is available at thepopcomplex.com. And before I say my channel name one more time, thanks for watching today, guys, and have a terrifying day.